Nice. They got a CD too. I bet you they got a CD.
I'm going to pass this around. I'll take one.
Clean it.
So,
Oh, it's a sweepy one.
Take one, pass that around. Did this at Marika's a few weeks ago. Kind of stumbled through it, mostly because I wasn't ready. But we'll see if I can get all the way through this. We'll see if you can get all the way through this. Approaching the end of the Eugene Field series on reminiscences of early Colorado mining camp days. Most of the poems in this series deal with life's foibles and experiences in kind of a humorous way. This one's a little different. It's kind of an emotional roller coaster, at least for me. It's called Marthy's Young Kid. The mountain brook sung lonesome like and loitered on its way, as if it waited for a child to join it in its play. The wildflowers, the summertime, bent down their heads to hear the music of the little feet that had somehow grown so dear. The magpies, like winged shadows, went fluttering to and fro among the rocks and hollow stumps in the ragged gulch below. The pines and hemlocks tossed their boughs like they was arms and made soft solemn music on the slope where he had often played. But for these lonesome solemn voices on the mountainside, there was no sound this summer day that Marthy's young kid died. We called him Marthy's young kid, for Marthy was the name of her as was his mar, the wife of Sorry Tom, the same as taught the schoolhouse on the hill way back in '69, when she married Sorry Tom, which owned the Goshall Hemlock Mine. And Marthy's young kid was their first, which, being how it meant that first on Red House Mountain was truly a event. The miners sought offshore on work as soon as they got word that Dr. Devine allowed to Casey what had just occurred. We loaded up and looped around until we all was hoarse, saluting the arrival, which weighed 10 pounds, of course. Yeah, 3 years and such a pretty child. His mother's counterpart. 3 years and such a hold as he had got on every heart. A pert and likely little tyke with hair as red as gold, laughing, toddling everywhere, and only 3 years old. Up yonder sometimes to the hill, and sometimes down the... Up yonder sometimes to the store, and sometimes down the hill. He kited. Was his boy, you know. Couldn't keep him still. There he'd play beside the brook, where purple wildflowers grew, and the mountain brook some lonesome light that loitered on its way. A preacher come from Roaring Creek to comfort him and pray. The mountain brook some lonesome like and loitered on its way. 3 years and such a pretty child. Yeah, okay. Let me catch up.
Freestyle.
3 years and then the fever come. It wasn't right, you know, with all us old ones in the camp, for that little child to go. It's right the old should die, but that a harmless little child should miss the joy of life and love, that can't be reconciled. That's what we thought that summer day, and that is what we said as we gazed upon the piteous face of Marthy's young kid dead. But for his mother sobbing, the house is very still. Sorry Tom was looking through the window down the hill. That patch beneath the hemlocks where his darling used to play, and the mountain brook some lonesome light and loitered on its way. A preacher come from Roaring Creek to comfort him and pray. All the camp was present at the obsequies next day. A female teacher staged at 20 miles to sing a hymn, and we joined her in the chorus, big husky men and grim, and sung of life and love and breath, and then the preacher prayed, and preached a sermon on the death of that fair blossom laid among them other flowers he loved, which sermon set such weight on sinners being always healed against the future state, that though it had been fashionable to swear a perfect streak, there were no swearing in the camp for pretty nigh a week. Last thing of all, for strapping men took up the little load and bore it tenderly along the winding rocky road to where the coroner had dug a grave beside the brook, and side of Marthy's window where the same could set and look and wonder if that cradle in that green patch long and wide was as soothing as the cradle that was empty at her side. Wonder if the songs that mountain pines was singing then was as tender as the lullabies she'd never sing again. If the bosom of the earth in which he lay at rest was as loving and as warm as was his mother's breast. Yeah, the camp is gone, but Red House Mountain rears its kindly head, looks down sort of tenderly upon its cherished dead. And I reckon that through all the years that little boy which died sleeps sweetly and contentedly upon the mountainside. That the wildflowers of the summertime bend down their heads to hear the music of the little feet they know not slumber's near. That the magpies on the solemn rocks strange flutter and shudders make, and the mountain pines and hemlocks wonder that the sleeper doesn't wake. That the mountain brook sings lonesome like and loiters on its way, as if it waits for a child to join it in its play.
Whoa.